Okay guys, I'm going to walk you through on how I like to apply a color retouch. Here I'm going to be applying her color retouch with Inoa, and then I'm going to go through with the shades of Q all over to give her the tone that she wants. So here in the roots, I like to do the front first, especially with gray coverage. I always like to keep nice clean sectioning, so I always do the top and then I do the side right here, just to kind of push the hair back where I don't want it, and then of course always the hairline, and then I'm going to do around her ear as well, just for nice clean saturation, and it makes it easier to apply. I always like to section the hair and then I apply the color on top, flip it over, and then apply it underneath. If I were to apply the color on top and then try to get my comb through the color, it just gets color on the brush, so then it just makes it way messier. So I section, apply top, bottom, and then keep going. With Inoa, you have to apply the color pretty thick because it doesn't swell. So wherever you're putting it is where it's going to stay. So you have to take pretty thin sections and just keeping it nice and clean so that it doesn't kind of get everywhere and all messy. You can see here I kind of got some color all over, but I was able to like clean up my mess while I was going. It seems like a really long, slow process until you get pretty quick at it, taking smaller sections and just applying both sides real quick. You get moving pretty quickly the more and more that you do it. So now I'm on to the other side of her head. As you can see, I section it out again, and you'll see when I put it on here, this helps just push those hairs back so that they aren't falling forward in my way to keep it nice and clean. And then again, going around her hairline. I always go back in after I do the hairline, get all of the color on. I go back to the hairline because then once the color's been processing, you can kind of see where it's not so saturated, where you might need to resaturate, especially around the part and the hairline, because they're coming in for gray coverage. So you want to make sure that you are giving them that coverage that they're coming in for, that they need and want. So for in the back now, I just like to take the back. You can see how I kind of pull the hair over the side of her head. It's to make sure that I don't get any color from her part line on the ends, and also so that when I'm flipping it over, it's not falling directly in her face. I will flip them back and forth, side to side, so that it's off of her face and not touching the color retouch that's on her part line. So here in the back too, I like to do from the crown up, just working side to side. Once the head shape gets too wide to where I have to turn the chair too much, I change up my sectioning and I'll go vertical, which that'll show in just a few seconds. But you can also see how I'm keeping the brush still pretty clean. By going in, you can see the side of the bowl. I load up the color on the side of the bowl and then just use the very end of the brush to apply the color. Here too, you can kind of see I slowed it down so you could really see how I flip the brush around. I'm constantly flipping it around to get the best angle. I'm flipping my wrist and then also flipping and turning the brush as well. If one side's loaded with color and then I use it, I flip it over because then the color is still on the other side. So I'm constantly flipping it around so I don't have to constantly keep getting more color. That's why I like this brush with the 2 rows, the purple brushes. There's 2 rows of brushes on the brush so you can load up more color, but still keeping it nice and clean to where you're not dripping color all over when you're applying. Okay, so I applied the other side. Now I'm going through with Shades of Q. I like to start from the bottom and work my way up with Shades of Q just so that I'm not flipping the color over the client's head. The dry hair instead of colored hair is a lot cleaner. So now I'm just gonna walk my way back up the head. As you can see, I'm applying a little bit at a time and then running it down. So I squeeze the bottle and run my hand down as I'm applying. And you can also notice I'm not putting the bottle down. I keep the bottle in my hand for timing. Putting the bottle down, picking it up every time that I get a new section, I use the bottle as my brush or comb or clip or whatever I would use to section the hair. I just use the nozzle for the bottle or my finger because I don't want to go in and section right at the root because then it's going to take the color off. So I kind of go through and right below where I applied the color is where I go in section. You can see there I did it there where I just applied right below the color retouch just so that I'm not taking any color off of the root. And with Shades of Q2, you really want to work it into the hair. Here I'm just twisting it to make it just nice clean sectioning. And then onto the side, I take about 1 inch to maybe 1.5 inch sections, depending on the density too. If it feels like it's too much and I feel like I'm not getting all the way through, I will just take smaller sections. You can see too, I will rake through the hair like my fingers are like a comb, and I'm really working my thumb back and forth to really get the color in to make sure that it's fully saturated. And once it's all nice and shiny, you know that it's all nice and applied and you can move on. Over applying Shades of Q will drip color everywhere, so a little bit goes a long way with Shades of Q, and just keeping it nice and clean too for the client because they don't want color sitting on them or anything like that. So making sure that the client is nice and clean and comfortable. So right here on the other side, I split the section into two and direct it away from her face, just so that I don't drop any color on her face, just keeping her, again, nice and clean. And also taking smaller sections will make you move faster just because you're able to evenly saturate it a lot quicker, because if you take too big of a section, it's really hard to get it evenly saturated. So the smaller the sections, the better. I like to take sections that fit perfectly in my hand, that the hair is not being over directed from other areas of the head, especially working like this, and just taking it all and directing it away from her face. So here now all I'm doing is I'm just making sure that it's all nice and evenly saturated. I had some extra product or color left over, so I might as well use it up, right? But there is a point where it becomes too much Shades of Q. You want the hair to be evenly shiny, but you don't want the hair to be dripping wet, because that's product waste. You don't need to be applying so much to where the color is dripping off, because then it's going to get messy and it's going to get all over the client, and you just don't need to waste color like that. So now I'm just going in, I'm going to be twisting the hair back to clip it all up to let her sit and cook while I do a haircut real quick. I do like to go back in and apply her roots again really quick, because now it's been sitting on. By the time I finish applying her roots and the Shades of Q, you can kind of see where it needs to be resaturated, but I always just like to go in and see, because there can be little grays that pop through because it's been sitting long enough to where you can kind of see where they're not being covered very well. So I just like to go in and make sure that it's all nice and covered for her, clipping it up to make it out of her way. And then I like to go up and clean the back of the cape as well. And then she sits and cooks. Thank you guys. Bye.